Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's almost it's 10:51 p.m. Bangladesh Standard Time. Actually, 10 to 11 p.m. Bangladesh Standard Time, and I am Farhad Ahmed, lecturer of law at Veni University, Bangladesh. Moderator for this session, which is arranged as part of the Liberation War Museum's global virtual conference on commemorating past genocides and learning to prevent atrocity crimes. Now, in short, Liberation War Museum, Dhaka, Bangladesh, was established in 1996 to commemorate the historic and heroic struggle of the Bengali nation for their democratic and national rights and uphold the memory of genocide perpetrated by Pakistan Army in 1971. In 2014, Liberation War Museum has established the Center for the Study of Genocide and Justice to promote research and establish a global network. In 2019, Liberation War Museum successfully organized the 6th International Conference on Bangladesh Genocide and Justice with special focus on the Rohingya persecution. And today, the Liberation War Museum is organizing a one-day conference where institutions and experts are participating from different time zones globally. The conference is currently being held online with a broad theme of commemorating and confronting genocide with global cooperation. The year is also 2021. This year is also the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh genocide, which happened in 1971. So hopefully this will provide an opportunity for comparative study of global genocide, including the forgotten one. So at first, I would like to beg pardon of all of you, because it's the technical issue that made us late in starting the session. So as today, the theme of this session is a Rohingya Crisis, which is currently the biggest refugee tension in the world. Since August 25th, 2017, the Rohingya population in Myanmar has been subjected to extreme violence and has been forced to flee their homes. There have been reports of helicopters firing on civilians, extrajudicial executions of women and children, and the burning of entire villages. Thus, United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights called the situation a textbook example of ethnic cleansing, and the crisis has caused a mass exodus of the Rohingya people across the border into Bangladesh. According to UNHCR, a staggering figure of more than 723,000 Rohingya have fled to Bangladesh since 25th August 2017, and if you take account of the influx happened after 27, that will cross the milestone of 1 million Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh so far. So on this very tipping issue, we have with us 3 of the distinguished panelists to discuss on this topic. And first of all, we have Tun Khin. He's the president of the Burmese Rohingya organization, but he's trying to join, but for the technical issues, we are not getting connected with him. Oh, welcome. Nice to see you, Tun Khin. Finally, you made it. And also we have with us MD Niamot Ali. He's from Hungary, joining with us from Hungary, and we supposed to have Miss Karen Jungblatt from USA, but she just informed us due to some personal emergency, she's not able to join today. So now I think we have another, yes, we have with us as a panelist, as a substitution, like Noreen Rahim. She's a coordinator of the Center for the Study of Genocide. So First of all, I would like to invite to open the session with the speech to Mr. Tan Khin, and to introduce Tan Khin. Tan Khin is an ethnic Rohingya Muslim from Arakan state in Myanmar. He's the president of the Burmese Rohingya Organization of UK and a prominent activist for the Rohingya people. His grandfather was a parliamentary secretary during the democratic period after Myanmar gained independence in 1948. And Tun Khin's tireless advocacy for the Rohingya cause has taken him around the globe several times over. He has spoken about the genocide facing the Rohingya before the US Congress, European Parliament, European Human Rights Council, the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, and UN bodies. Tun Khin is also a prominent media commentator on Rohingya issues and has often been featured in high-profile international and national media outlets such as CNN, BBC World, Sky News, and many others. On behalf of Burmese Rohingya Organization of UK, Tun Khin filed universal jurisdiction case in Argentina against Myanmar military and civilian government for genocide war crimes, crimes against humanity. Tun Khin received a leadership award from Refugee International, Washington, D.C. in April 2015 for his work on the Rohingya issue. So I hope we would be able to know a lot of information and things from Mr. Tun Khin. So Tun Khin, please, it's up to you now.
Sure. First of all, thanks so much for inviting me to speak. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you an update about the situation of Myanmar and Rohingya people in both Myanmar and Bangladesh. Rohingya people everywhere appreciate the role of Bangladesh has played to shelter, the Rohingya from genocide in Burma. And I would like to express many thanks to the organizers of this event, and I'm really appreciate for inviting me. So let me start giving you some background of the Rohingya people. Firstly, they are living in Arkan state near Bangladesh border. They are living in time immemorial in Arkan state. During democratic period time, Rohingya were recognized as an ethnic group, and at that time, as you mentioned, my grandfather was a member of parliament, and I was not, even though my grandfather was a member of parliament, I was not recognized as a citizen. And I was in Burma until Arkan state until my age was 17. I have seen a serious human rights violation when I was in Arkan state, and after independence we got in Burma, democratic period time, Rohingya have like ethnic Rohingya have right like other nationalities of Burma, Kachin, Karen, Rakhine, and Mon, all other ethnic cities, other ethnic rights, say same as the way they have. But that time, Rohingya language was broadcasted in Burma radio broadcasting program, and what's happened is 1962 General Ne Win coup power, and when he coup power, he stripped off our ethnic rights, and then 1982 law introduced, which is 1982 Citizenship Law. That law deprives basic fundamental rights of the Rohingya. Because of that law, I was not recognized as a citizen of Burma. And then what's happened after 1988 uprising, Rohingya were not allowed to move from one village to another. Rohingya are not allowed to get married. Our lands has been confiscated by the military, and they kept under control. They brought non-Rohingya from other parts of the Burma. What they did is, intention is to get rid of Rohingya people from Arkan state. Uh, you know, uh, when Rohingya get married secretly during that time, and they sentenced to jail 5 to 10 years at least. And what happened after that? In 2010, we have seen so-called reform in Burma. That anti-Rohingya campaign been spread up, and then we have seen 2012 a state-organized violence against Rohingya, where you all know that in Situi, capital of Arkan state, 125,000 become IDPs. And Since that time, still these Rohingya IDPs are in the same place until today. And in Aumingala, there are about 7 to 8,000 Rohingya. They are locked up. They are not allowed to get out from their village. Is a ghetto. They are living there. So Rohingya situation getting worse day by day. When we have seen that 2015 election, Rohingya were not allowed to vote and not allowed to be parliament, the first time in history. And in 2020, we have seen the same thing anyhow. But 2017, you all know that the many Rohingyas being killed by Burmese military. As far as what we know, at least 10,000 Rohingya were killed by Burmese military, and thousands of Rohingya women been raped, and thousands of Rohingya, sorry, 400, at least 400 villages, Rohingya villages been burned down. And we have seen that, serious atrocities. And if you look as a whole, this issue, what Burmese government is doing is intentionally destroying our community. So this is a genocide. What we have seen that time, that the world largest refugee camp in the world, military and government systematically drive us out, from our own country. That is what's happened in 2017. So let me come back current situation a bit. That is what's happened in on that time on the background. Still until today, Rohingya not allow. Rohingyas are still living in Arkan state. They are not allowed to move from one village to another. No citizenship until today. Still they are in open prison. You know Restriction of freedom of movement for Rohingya have caused many deaths, as Rohingya patients have been cruelly blocked by traveling to hospital when they needed emergency medical care. Our people also have been completely blocked from public participation. You know, while the rights of violations in Rakhine have been ongoing decades, the government of Myanmar systematically, ensure the dehumanization of the Rohingya throughout the rest of the country, denying our existence, denying our identity, and spreading hate speech against Rohingya through state-sponsored media, social media. That's what's happened, you know. And as far as you all know, after these serious violations happen, atrocities we face, and there are about three justice cases. Currently, Rohingyas are fighting for justice. I visited Bangladesh about. I spent about 4 weeks during 2017 September. One thing, what I heard is from them is united boys, we want justice. We want justice. We want justice. We want to return to our homeland with all the rights they have taken away. They must give that back. And so Rohingyas are fighting for justice through ICJ, International Court of Justice, International Criminal Court, and Universal Jurisdiction case in Argentina. We have been waiting for justice for a long time. We have been working hard day and night in many countries to bring about justice. These efforts are not for the Rohingya alone, but to hold military accountable and bring justice for all the victims. The military's brutality, where they are Rohingya, Burmese, ethnic minorities. These cases are very important to protect the people of Burma. The military has proven that without justice, they can continue, or they will continue to kill, torture people in Myanmar with impunity. I'm sure you all know what's happened in 1st of February, the military coup. So after this military coup, situation on the ground now is very concerning. Military and police are shooting peaceful protesters with live ammunition, as well as arresting and torturing thousands of protesters. More than 70 people have been murdered on the streets of Myanmar by the regime since the coup. All young men, women, all are victims of military's brutality. Currently, there is no end in sight, but Myanmar people are continuing to protest. Widespread civil disobedience movement has resulted in workers from hospitals, banks, public transportation, electricity workers, and other all ongoing strike. We all want to be clear that here we want to be clear that We want uh, the military to return power to the people. We do not want to return the status quo. We need an inclusive democracy, equal rights, justice for all, where Rohingya and other minorities have a voice. For Rohingya, we want to get back our citizenship rights and the ability to both participate in this democracy. So, what's happened for the Rohingya situation in this military coup? Now, with military coup ongoing, Rohingya people in Arakan are incredibly vulnerable to more violence, because of decades dehumanization. We don't have protection that comes with widespread public support protests from the Burmese population. Additionally, both military and civilian government have both proven that they're willing to weaponize violence against the Rohingya to generate nationalist political support throughout the country, demonstrating a complete disregard for Rohingya humanity. This has happened regularly throughout the Myanmar history. It's a legitimate fear in this situation. There could be a wave of violence against Rohingya at any time in our kind of state. Obviously, with this level of volatility, this is no time to begin repatriation of Rohingya to Burma. Even before the coup, conditions were not in place to ensure Rohingya safety and rights upon return. At a minimum, there must be guarantees related to protection, citizenship, repatriations, and human rights before any repatriation effort move forward. Returning refugees now could be a death sentence for them. So what Myanmar needs international community is we are calling targeted economic sanction, global travel bans, and asset freeze and sanctioning military leadership and military related company, you know, and all members of cabinet, administration council who are current or former officers in military, they all should be banned. And military business, Myanmar Economic Holding Cooperation and Myanmar Economic Cooperation, these entities also should be in sanctions, freezing assets for them, and all directors of these offices, these conglomerates of these entities, subsidiaries who are former current military officers. We call for global arms embargo also to Myanmar, cutting off this military lifeline while continuing to provide support to the people of Myanmar at this critical time will be instrumental in bringing down the military, establishing a truly inclusive democracy in Myanmar. The road to justice and equality for Burma will be a long one, and it will require much effort, even long after a true democracy has been established in Burma. But we are ready to continue a struggle for the justice. We need you to stand by us. And I stop here. I would like to say thank you very much. Sorry a bit. I was getting a problem when I tried to connect. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tunkin. It was really informative and actually breathtaking to listen that suffering of the people of Rakhine, and you being one of them, and your previous predecessors has suffered a lot. And the way you actually approach to the global community regarding the justice and your experience you share, I think this has enriched our knowledge. And being a Bangladeshi myself, and a lot of others like me, who are hosting these refugees, Rohingyas, and we have also experienced some a direct experienced the situations here. So I think it's a matter of the global community to think politically and the legal repercussions, and we need to think more comprehensively. Now, I would like to request our second distinguished panelist, Mr. MD Niamot Ali, and speaking on the ethnicity and the minority status of the Rakhine Rohingya people who have experienced a lot of hate speeches and the nature of the hate speeches. So I think MD Niyamut will deliberate on this topic. And to introduce MD Niyamut he is a stipendum Hungaricum PhD candidate at the Doctoral School of Sociology at Corvinus University of Budapest, Hungary. And he is a lecturer on study leave at the Department of Development Studies uh, at Daffodil International University, Dhaka. He has completed bachelor and master studies in the Department of Development Studies from University of Dhaka, and with the President Scholarship, he also attended for MA Sociology from South Asian University, New Delhi. He attended the first winter school organized by the Liberation War Museum in December 2014. Since then, he is working as a research volunteer in the Center for the Study of Genocide and Justice under the Liberation War Museum. And he has visited the Rohingya camps in Cox's Bazar along with Liberation War Museum teams in different capacities and presented his findings before national and international audiences. He has contributed to publish the testimony of 60 on the crisis of Rohingyas in Myanmar in 2017 and the Rohingya genocide compilation and analysis of survivors testimonies 2018 from Center for the Study of Genocide and Justice. So I think he can enrich our knowledge regarding this Rohingya crisis more. And I would like to hand over this to MD Niyamotali, please.
Hello everyone. Am I audible? Farhad, are you
Yes,
listening
we can
me?
hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, thank you, the moderator and panelists. Especially I'm really recalling the activities that I have done with Liberation Museum. Noreen is here, and I'm also very showing respect to Mong Tunkin. He already has shared his observation, and of course, he is a part of this living experience of Rohingya crisis. So this is a short presentation that I'm going to share with you. I'm using this mic, screen. Okay, Farhad, is it okay?
Yes, we can see. It's visible.
Okay, thank you so much. The title of this presentation is actually about to speak more on the role of hate speech. The hate speech that is used against the Rohingya, and of course, it made genocide in the 21st century. So, before going to details, I'm going to share. There's a little bit of brief story of the history of the genocide scholarship. Back in 1904 or 1907, so there was a genocide, and it's very early. In the history in the 20th century, and because of this background, and we have understanding about so many other genocide in the world that happened in the 20th century and the 21st century. We have the example of Assyrian genocide, the Armenians, the Jewish, which is Holocaust, the Bangladesh genocide happened in 1971, the Cambodians, the Tutsis, and Darfur genocide, which is partly a good example to look at where and how the genocide takes place. And I'm talking about particularly the Rohingya genocide, which is considered one of the brutal events in the history. So before going here, I want to just be giving you a short brief about who are these people. The Rohingyas, that these are the stateless people, and of course they are Indo-Aryan speaking Burmese, or you can say Burma, Myanmar nationals. They live in Arakan or Rakhine state of Myanmar. So there is a legal and official terminology that has been used against them, that these are people, illegal immigrants, or mostly it is said they are Bengalis coming from Bangladesh. And Bangladesh discourse, we have so many other categories to identify these people. We are saying these are these residence foreigners, these are the people who don't have state, I mean stateless, and they don't have citizenship. They are asylum seeker, camp people, forced migrants, and refugees, the broad category that it is developed over the decades. It's long history that we all know, and I think there is so many various scholarship that already engage to connect with the atrocities that happen against these people. So Rohingya, they have faced the experience of vulnerability, atrocities, persecution, marginalization, discrimination, and brutalities. Is almost in half century that they have been in this kind of trauma. So in between of this status, there's Rohingya is one of the minorities group who live in Myanmar. So there are so many groups, minority groups recognized. The list is 135, but Rohingya, they don't have their citizenship according to the law that is amended, implemented from 1982. So this kind of people, the Rohingya particularly, they are in humanitarian crisis. And of course, from 2017 onwards, the world population now are going to, I mean, they're observing how much it's being depicted, how much it's been described in the world media and then of course in scholarship. So the people that they are in an example of that is ethnic cleansing, and of course they have been tagged as the most persecuted minority in the world, and of course at the same time they face genocide, and of course there is so much underlying facts and figure that how this particular community have been deprived of their citizenship, forced labor, they are engaged in their home country, they have forced eviction, and then of course they denied to get their access to education. There were massive killing, sexual harassment, and of course, I mean, the individual liberty, individual rights have been cut down. So in this various capacity that we know that how the Rohingya mobility takes place and where these people have been gone. So in Bangladesh, the Rohingya, they started to came in 1978 onwards. It is estimated that 1.3 million people, those who are living in currently Bangladesh. So in various capacity that we are saying that I'm interested to work or even talking regarding the hate speech, how hate speech is takes place, and how genocide is becoming an instrument for them to eliminate this large number of people from their homeland. So in definition, hate speech in various way, it is so many things that is included. It is the act which is which has been done against a group of people, ethnic minority, a community, a national origin, and there is kind of category to dehumanizing the people, dehumanizing about their caste, dehumanizing about their origin, about their culture, about their religious affiliation, political affiliation, and of course in various way. So the target is to make these people vulnerable in the society and to fulfill the idea which is genocide that takes place. So in a way to look at this hate speech, it is of course a certain kind of acts which makes false statement about a community, and it develop flawed argument, and there's language which is very much vulgar in a sense, and of course it's decisive, and there is certain way to metaphorizing the people in terms of in front of the other society. So here the Rohingya people, they have faced certain kind of different kind of dehumanization process. They have in a kind of polarization process. So about all the stages of genocide that have been taking place in the world, and scholarly argued that there is a 10 stage of genocide. So here I'm quoting two different types of genocide, which is visible in a way to look at this dehumanization processes, polarization process, and in relation to this stage, hate speeches is becoming key instrument to make this propagandist idea, and of course make these people polarized in the world. So this kind of Rohingya genocide, whether in relation to hate speech, is visible. So let's giving more example, this scholarly engagement that has been already established and published throughout the world, how much this identity in relation to identity, in relation to citizenship, so how much hate speech played role in favor of this kind of activities. And of course this has been done by the state of Myanmar and its auxiliary forces. So in Myanmar there is certain narratives which is available, which is visible mostly, that's the Rohingyas people are, they have been targeted. They say in their narratives there is both of these ethnic minority groups and non-Buddhist. So it's about their own originality. I mean, in terms of original identity, apart from Burmese or Myanmar, the other part of the people, they will be eliminated from society in a sense that they are threatened for the society, religion, and the country. And it's particularly one religion on one particular community which has been tagged as violent, and they are foreigners, not they are locals. And of course, from them, the women of the Burmese society, women of the Myanmars, have to be protected. And because of why? Because there is a large scale of, it is a assumption there is a large scale of, I mean, religious transformation, religious, I mean, what conversation happen. So in a way, to looking at this military strength, so they're looking for the kind of very nationalistic approach, this superiority of the nation state of Myanmar. And of course, in terms of misinformation, they're saying so that okay, international community may be spreading out some missing information. So these will be treated as their, as against their sovereignty. It is also stated. At the same time, it's a very interesting. I mean, there are some human rights activists, NGOs, civil society organization who already worked in Myanmar, but they are absent from the country. So they are saying that
Uh, Niyamot, Mr. Amdi Niyamot, you cannot be heard. Please unmute your side. You're not audible. Please unmute. Yeah, only unmute. Yes,
okay.
yes.
So I guess I missed something. So this technical issue is very big. Okay, so in various capacities, so these people have been targeted. And then, of course, if anybody working in the field of human rights, anybody working for the promotion of, I mean, governance in the country, and of course, NGOs, the activists, NGOs have been targeted as they are traitors, or even they are doing anti-Myanmar activities. So in this particular spaces, we have so many examples that has been talked about. So in I miss this particular. I mean, it's not okay. I mean, I'm not sure. The PowerPoint is not moving. What's the problem is going on? So here is a different narration that is available. I mean, very recent book that has been published from Oxford University. So it is stated that there is a subhuman category to understand these people. I mean, to making a kind of theory how much they have been deprived over the decade, and what is situation, socio-economic situation in the countries, so that have been figured out by the study, which is, and then people have been tagged as the subhuman category. Subhuman category is a sense that where there is a very atrocious living condition, there is an illegal object in a legal framework. These people are stateless. There are the homeless people, and of course, there is a condition which is always vulnerable of to be killed, raped, or burned. At the same time, they are the situation of extinction. So this kind of uh, problem, this kind of hate speech created in the state of Myanmar over the centuries. At the same time, there is some example that has been propagated by the Myanmar authorities via Facebook or even other social medias. So mostly the role of Facebook is really becoming a contested idea nowadays. So the nationalist attitude towards the ethnic minorities was much negative. So the nation formation of in any form, Rohingya, they have been marginalized in various way. So what I'm claiming is that in a kind of making this category of subhuman in the home country, in their motherland, so the country, Myanmar, and its auxiliary forces made some statement against these people, and which is ultimately responsible for these committing genocide in the country in Myanmar. So I think I have to finish here. So uh, then we can join for the question and answer session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. MD Niamutali, for your informative and wonderful presentation of the hate speech part of this ethnic cleansing of this genocide happened in Rakhine. So we have come to know about the anthropological definitions and the terms which you have properly discussed. For example, the subhuman treatment of the people of Rakhine by the Myanmar government. So this is one of the dimension in uh, in occurring this genocide. So this is one of the main reason because the anthropological aspect of this and sociological aspect of this Myanmar government, junta government, was quite a fact behind these atrocities. So now we would like to move forward to the next speech by is Noreen Rohim, and I would like to introduce Noreen Rohim. She is uh, she is an adjunct lecturer at the School of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences, an independent university, Bangladesh, and also the coordinator at the Center for the Study of Genocide and Justice, Liberation War Museum. Noreen holds an LLM in International Humanitarian Law and Human Rights from University of Geneva, and she has been contributing to the research on Rohingya genocide by the Liberation War Museum. The outcome of the research includes two publications, The Testimony of 60 and The Rohingya Genocide, Compilation and Analysis of Survivors. Now, I would like to hand over to Ms. Naureen Rahim to carry on.
Thank you so much, Topu. And it's really good to see two of our very long-term committed volunteers over here. One is Topu yourself, and one is Niamot Bhai. And I'm really happy to be here in this panel along with Niamot Bhai and Mr. Tobin Kin. A very good evening to all of you. Uh, I couldn't actually resist sharing our experience from the Center for the Study of Genocide and Justice, whatever we are doing from our side for the cause of respecting the humanity and dignity of the Rohingya community from our side. So since the third speaker actually couldn't make it in this panel, so immediately we made this this arrangement to show you what the Center for the Study of Genocide and Justice of Liberation War Museum is doing on Rohingya crisis. I hope you would be able to see my screen. So I'm now sharing my screen.
Lauren, I would like to interrupt you for 10 seconds if, before you
Of course.
start. I would like to tell the attendees you can ask any questions. You can leave your questions in the question and answer session, and we will read out these questions to the panelist after after Ms. Rahim finishes her lecture. So you can ask. Yeah, please carry on.
Thank you so much, Topu. So I'm going to share my screen. So can you see it from your side?
Yes, it's visible, but it's visible now.
Okay, thank you. So ever since the Rohingya influx came into Bangladesh in August 2017, so there were so many people coming up in the Bangladeshi border seeking refuge and being persecuted by the Myanmar army in the Myanmar border. So we received heartfully to our support, and also to coordinate and also arranging their accommodation and the basic necessities at that time. So as a research institution, Center for the Study of Genocide and Justice, since it always engages the young generation of Bangladesh and also from abroad to look for the solutions and the human rights violations all over the world. So we actually came across this news that the Rohingya community are coming and taking refuge in the border of Bangladesh. Then we thought of doing something and raising awareness and also raising their voice through our publications and our activism. So we decided that we should go to the makeshift camps in Cox's Bazar and talk to the Rohingya victims and survivors, and then convey their message to the international community. And with this purpose, we started doing this research. And as you can see, the overview of this research, we so far conducted 6 visits in the Cox's Bazar makeshift camps, and a good number of young volunteers, young research volunteers from the Center for the Study of Genocide and Justice actually supported for this cause. And they took interviews, talked to the respondents, and also explored the areas, the legal options for seeking justice on behalf of them. And the first visit actually was conducted right after the influx came in August 2017. And then, as you can see, we started doing the field visit one by one, and it started in October 2017. So afterwards, we started collaborating with National Human Rights Commission in 2018 in our second field visit, and we together we started to document all the testimonies and evidence from their part. So this is how we continued, and each field visit has its own essence and own purpose. So different targets and focus, we tried to explore all the possible areas of seeking justice, and also documenting all the testimonies of these Rohingya victims, and then empowering them, and to become a good support, not only researching or taking interviews and seeking information, but also to becoming a support to this large community who are at present residing in Bangladesh. So these are the 6 visits, as you can see at a glance. It's a quite quite a big report, but what we did actually, we tried to collect the case studies and the narrative of the victims, and also we collected all the major details like the place, location, and gender of the victim. We tried to take images of the campsites and also the victims, but it actually deals with a very huge number of sensitivity, as we can understand. So we actually documented so many things coming up from the camps, and we preserved all the data, and this can be actually at times, if needed, then during any hearings and legal proceedings, this can be of use. So this is how actually we try to document and publish all the reports. As you can see, uh, can you see it? The quilt? Okay. So along with Asia Justice and Rights, we try to reach to the Rohingya female, and they actually lended their support, and we tried to nurture their own skill and to become a part of their healing process. So they prepared a quilt by themselves and explaining what they're thinking, what they have gone so far, and what are their expectations through sewing in a quilt. So it's a very interesting project that we did together. And as I can show you, it's a quilt publication that I'm holding right now. And there are so many stories and so many emotions actually lifted up through the publication. And along with that, we have also created the thread exhibit with a group of volunteers and students of Harvard University. We had Rachel, who closely worked with this project, and we collaborated with them as part of the institution. And it's an online exhibit of the Rohingya community. So whoever wants to show their exhibits, artwork, and all these things, they can show it in this website. It's a very interesting project, and I must say that you should visit if you can make it from your side. Along with that, we also had published a report. As you can see, it's the Rohingya genocide compilation and analysis of the survivor testimonies. So
Doreen, actually, we
after,
can only see the text of the PDF you are showing. We are not
yeah.
seeing, we are not able to see anything else. Okay.
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you so much for informing. I was wondering if you could see it or not. Okay.
No, we cannot.
Can you see it now?
Yes, we can see now.
Okay, so I
It's
just
visible.
quickly move on to the first one. It's the quilt that I'm showing here right now, the quilt
Yeah.
publication, and I'm holding this one over here. And then goes the thread exhibit, the online exhibition that I was mentioning earlier. And then it's the Liberation War Museum's Center for the Study of Genocide and Justice, which has already published this Rohingya genocide report with legal analysis. And then we also had published the testimony of 60 on the crisis of Rohingyas in Myanmar. So this is how actually we are continuing our support and also our uh, emotions through our writings and also critical analysis for the sake of seeking justice for the Rohingyas. And I'm really happy to be here with all of you. And I'm really happy to share our work with you. So be with us and try to explore more avenues for this community so that they can live with proper dignity and respect. Thank you so much. Over to
Thank you,
you, Topu.
Noreen, Rohim. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation and the works of Center for the Study of Genocide and Justice Liberation War Museum. That is actually a need of time, whatever you have done, and the institution, the Liberation War Museum, has done. And in the current situation, and relevantly, very much relevantly, we have some questions, and I would like to convey these questions to the respective panelists, whatever have asked by uh, the attendees. So first question to Mr. Tonkin, asked by Sakhawat Sejan. Do you think the coup is an intended and pre-planned act by the Myanmar military junta to procrastinate the repatriation process or whatsoever? Mr. Tonkin, we cannot hear you. You are not audible. You are not audible, please. No, we cannot hear you. Can you please unmute? We cannot hear you. I think you can try plug out and plug in the earphone again. No, it's not audible. Can you check your laptop's volume or anything else? No. Can you plug out the earphone from your laptop and speak directly? Okay. So I think you can rejoin. Otherwise, it's not audible. No, it's not audible. It's not audible. Naureen, can you hear? Can you?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear? Okay, you cannot hear Tonkin.
No,
okay.
no.
I think he is rejoining. So,
Mr. Tunkin, I wanted to interrupt. Sorry. Would it be possible for you to disconnect and then come back in the session?
I think, yeah, he's trying to rejoin. So before he comes, and we can discuss on other question. If you like to, Noreen, if you like to answer the question, or Mr. MD Niamut Ali, I think he's not with us. Oh yes. So would you like to answer on this particular question? Your thoughts or views before Tankin joins?
Niamut Bhai, would you like to answer?
Or we have another question from Nadia Islam. She is asking to Tunkin regarding the relocation, the shelter relocation initiative of Bangladesh. So, as we all know, Bangladesh government has recently relocated some of the Rohingya people from Cox's Bazar camp to Bhashanchar. It's an island. So a lot of discourse happening around this shelter relocation. It has some legal repercussions and political backdrops. So Noreen, Rohim, would you like to evaluate on this step of Bangladesh government? How do you see this shelter relocation initiative of Bangladesh? Do you see it's a valid and a good step from the government?
Thank you, Topo. though the situation is not so favorable to be repatriated into their own homeland, because now at this moment it's the coup going on, and the political situation is worsening day by day, and it's becoming so difficult for the Rohingya people to think of repatriation, of a solid repatriation. But if you consider assessing the present government of Bangladesh's role, the foreign ministry's role in terms of repatriating or relocating the people from the makeshift camps in Cox's Bazar to the Bhatanchar area, it's my personal opinion that the situation that is going on right at this moment, I don't think it's going to be very uh, in near future. The Rohingya community would be able to to be repatriated in their own homeland, unfortunately. But the government of Bangladesh has been trying from the very beginning to uh, provide their basic necessities, and also uh, doing no harm policy to the Rohingya community. And that's why, as part of their process, they are also very much concerned about the situations, the security concerns within the camp areas, and also within across the country. So it's very important issue, and the government has been looking for so many avenues uh, to relocate and make their better living. And as part of this process, actually, they're relocating them in the Pashantor area. And I think it's a very commendable job, and the international community uh, should appreciate the initiatives of the government, instead of criticizing all the time that the government is actually not doing something
Yes,
and they're not giving proper solutions, whereas the neighboring countries has closed their borders and they are not actually giving a welcoming situation to this horrible situation that has been going against the Rohingya community.
that's true. Yes, thank you, Noreen. And then now we have Tunkin with us again.
Can you hear
He
me now?
rejoined. Yes, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
you
you
are
can hear
audible now.
me. Yeah.
So
What is the
would you please
question
like to
about?
answer the question? Yes, sure. The question was, do you think the coup is an intended and pre-planned act by the military, Myanmar military junta to procrastinate the repatriation process or whatsoever?
Uh, Even though they were together, NLD and military, they both, I mean, military is the main perpetrators, right? And NLD is complicit in this genocide. And what happened is because of their issue, who want to be president, me only want to be president, and military, they can see NLD is quite powerful, becoming or landslide victory. This is quite political. It's nothing much to do with Rohingya issue. So no matter what, one thing we have to look at here is military institution is architect of the Rohingya genocide. We need to look at one thing here, how dangerous situation Rohingya may face that is quite unpredictable, quite serious. I mean, we are worrying anytime anything can happen against Rohingya. So when we talking on international advocacy points, like whenever they speak of the coup instability issue, during this kind of instability time, Rohingyas are the most vulnerable. Anytime they can face attack by the Burmese military to divert, they may do some diversion that Rohingya, by using Rohingya issue, that is very dangerous. So that's what we worry. So it's quite political. Thank you.
Sure. There's one more question to you from Nadia Islam. She wants to ask you, how do you see the shelter relocation initiative of Bangladesh in regards to the demand of repatriation of the Rohingyas?
Demand of repatriation of Rohingya from who? From Rohingya
No,
Rohingya
no, no.
survivors?
She wants to ask you, I hope you know about the recent shelter relocation of Bangladesh government for the Rohingya people from Cox's Bazar camp to Bhashanchar camp, an island. So how do you see this shelter relocation initiative of Bangladesh government in regards to the demand of repatriation of the Rohingyas? I mean, in one case, the repatriation process is very much demanded, and another place, government of Bangladesh is relocating these Rohingyas. So how do you see that?
One thing is Rohingyas are genocide survivors. We appreciate Bangladesh government giving shelter and for the people of Bangladesh for their hospitality and generosity. We will never forget about it as Rohingya. And Rohingya wants to go back to their homeland. We all have land, we all have our village, we all have our culture and civilization in our own native land. As early as possible, we want to return, but we cannot see anything Burmese government and military, they are willingness to do anything to give back our rights. That is one thing. So seems like situation during this kind of situation, it may take quite long to return for the Rohingyas because I can't see any intention they want to take back Rohingyas. We never know how long will it take. So one thing Bangladesh government should consider to support Rohingya children to study because 40% are Rohingya children there. That is what my request. And also medical care is very important for the women in camps. That is important. For the Bashanshar, uh, we don't. It is very important that we need to look at how many people are telling this is very this just like very they construct after last 20 years ago there was a lot of prediction of danger thing. As a genocide survivor, we worry for the safety security. So I really appreciate Bangladesh have to look at the situation,
Thank
what
you.
can be there for these genocide survivors. So this needs to be looked at very thoroughly. That is very important.
Well, okay. Thank you, Tankin, for the answer. And I would like to ask Mr. MD Niamut Ali for if you want to comment on the first question, that is the coup. Is it an intended and pre-planned act by the Myanmar military junta to procrastinate the repatriation process or whatsoever? Uh, could you like to comment on this, Mr. Niamut Ali?
Yeah, thank you for this. I mean, for the question. Actually, you see, I mean, there is a law. There is a law which is excluded this Rohingya from Myanmar. So I'm not sure whether any democratic government or even military government will change this law. So particularly, this law somehow benefited them, and of course, these economic resources over the region, the Rakhine state, is very much lucrative for other countries as well. So they are investing. So whatever is about military, is about democracy. I think there is no, I mean, there is no immediate solution about the repatriation of this crisis of these people. And of course, there is some issue that has been addressed why these people are moving towards Bhashanchar. So it's a kind of political decisions, but I think government, if they incorporate NGOs, civil society organizations, INGOs in this decision making, it could be more sustainable, even could be a good solution for other people as well. So the people, those who are providing services, I'm talking about from the NGO perspective. So if they have kind of suggestions, so government needs to address this suggestion as well. So it could be a kind of collaborative work. A collaboration between NGOs and government should be addressed. So otherwise, the Bhashanchar itself will be a contested idea. How it could be more sustainable way to look at these people in the area as well. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Niamut Ali, and we are running short of time, and I would like to just add something on this particular shelter relocation program or initiative by the government of Bangladesh. As we all know, regarding the repatriation, it has to be a voluntary repatriation, and refugees has to have their consent and voluntary consent to avail this repatriation process. And since they are not secured, feeling secured, and they are not voluntarily consenting upon going back to their home. So till then, I think the process of Bangladesh government of this shelter initiative, I think it kind of justifies the shelter relocation process, because if they voluntarily consent on this shelter process, I think there is no legal repercussions or any bear so in this process. So with this, I would like to thank you all the panelists, and we have missed Miss Karen Jungblood very much, because she had an experience. She is working actually on the recording of the Rohingya crisis and evidences. So we would have known a lot of information from her. But thank you, Noreen Rahim, for substituting and saving in this place. And I would like to thank the organizers for organizing such a brilliant concept, this conference, which is, I think it should create some consensus on the global genocide scholars regarding the study of genocide and recognition of the genocides happening or happened in recent times in many parts of the world, including Bangladesh genocide in 1971 and the recent genocide we are talking about, the Rohingya issue. So as we are also eagerly waiting for the case Gambia versus Myanmar in ICJ, and I hope this process of scholarly discourse will be continuing and create more consensus worldwide in the coming future days. And I hope to meet you all in any other conferences regarding genocide and justice. So I would like to thank the volunteers working relentlessly throughout the day to make it happen and make it successful. I would like to thank Noreen Rahim and the other volunteers. So with this, I would like to finish, and I would like to say take care. Thank you.
Okay.